Waiting for the break of day, searching for something to say.
Owner of the Whiskey and Go-Go Rental Bar Grill, Mr. Mikeal Maglieri, Sr. And I'll give you a brief introduction. We are here to talk about a dear friend of yours, Mr. Terry Kath, one of the founders of Chicago, the group Chicago. And by the way, these were his preamps that he used on stage for his very exquisite sound. And here's, if you can zoom in, here's an old picture of Terry, which will, once all this stuff is being finished in post-production. But that's Terry and his preamps, and these are the preamps. So this is basically a piece of rock and roll history. So what year did Terry and Chicago move to Los Angeles?
1967.
1967.
Yes.
Wow. And they were hired by Elmer or Dad?
Actually, my father and Elmer both they were both from Chicago, and the group was from Chicago, obviously.
Yeah.
They were CTA then.
Okay.
And they hired in a bunch of nice guys. They all lived in, I think, a one-bedroom apartment up on Hollywood Boulevard or something. But they were just getting started out. They were the house band for 6 months at least, or more.
Wow, wow. Well, if you can excuse me, because I don't have a teleprompter, this, like I said, this is organic. But I have the questions here. And how much did they get paid a night?
It was like $50 a night, a case of beer.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh my
the whole
God.
band. You gotta remember also, we're talking in the 60s. So yeah.
Okay.
Not that was a lot of money, but still it was the 60s. And they were starting out.
And it was starting out.
Now, mind you, let me add to this. They were just starting out, but even starting out, they were a great crew.
Yeah.
Live, they were a great crew. In those days, they used these amplifiers to hook on the speakers, and it was a different sound. You heard one thing on the radio, you heard something else on the stage. Very few groups could replicate what you heard on the radio, because the radio they cleaned it all up.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the equipment then that we have now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was much different.
And I hear that that Jimi Hendrix and Terry Kath were close.
Close to the fact that Whiskey was a place where people came, the groups came to see other groups, and everyone got their kick off there. I mean, House Band was $3 a night, Candy, I mean, those were CTA, War. They all started there, so groups came to see other groups. But yeah, Jimi Hendrix was a regular, hanging out there.
Oh my God.
In those days, yeah. James Joplin was another one.
No.
Yes.
So so from the years of, let's say, 67, because I was going to say 65, but that was a little too early. So from 67 to about 1970, how did they get signed? Who signed them?
The funniest thing with them was, in those days, we did 2 shows a night, one at 9, one at 11. The opening act at that point was CTA Chicago. Open, and then whoever played after them. Anyway, one of the kids that was in the audience saw them playing and wanted, he lived in Beverly Hills, I don't remember the kid's name.
Sure.
But he wanted them to play for his bar mitzvah.
Oh, wow.
And they got offered, I believe it was $25,000, now we're paying $50 a night, to go play this bar mitzvah, because it was the whole band.
Sure.
And that's what they got signed from, was from playing that bar mitzvah.
Oh my God. So they went from, just a case of beer, $50 a night.
Up to, all of a sudden they were megastars. Terry, I remember his first house that he bought in Glendale. It was right next to the opening of the apartment in Glendale.
Okay.
It was like a castle, almost a 3-story like mansion kind of thing.
Yeah.
Great freaking house. But they went from all living in an apartment together to him and Pam, his wife.
Okay, Pam.
Yeah. Moved into this place, and they were like little kids. They had done a European tour and all that, and came back with all these things. There was just boxes everywhere. First microwave I saw was a Jerry Cass house.
Now, I talked to you about that. That was the radar range.
But whatever it was, I never seen the outfit before. And we were supposed to, my girlfriend at the time and I went over there to have dinner with them.
Sure.
And Pam went down and bought, I think it was McDonald's, and brought it up, and she warmed it up in this, what do you call it, radar range?
Radar range, yeah, wow. So what is, now, he married Pam what year?
Oh, goodness, you should ask Pam that one. I would assume.
Pam still?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay.
Yes. It looks good.
Wonderful.
But I would imagine probably like 69, somewhere around there.
Now is...
70. She was a ticket taker at the whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as with Kathy.
Kathy was at the ticket as well. Kathy sold the tickets. Pam collected the tickets.
Well, it's intrinsically great that I brought Kathy's name up and Hank Steiger, because when Hank died, Kathy and Trevor bestowed these upon me.
These were the original amps where they hooked their speakers to. In those days, you didn't have the systems like we do today. You didn't have a soundboard. You didn't have a light board. The guys brought out their amps and they put on their speakers, set them up on stage. Each group had their own set of equipment.
So that's why these have speaker terminals.
Exactly.
And Hank put these in where Terry could plug in.
Right. And then Terry, to take it further.
Because I never even turned these on.
To get away from using all this equipment, and no offense to it, but I mean, these are antiques. They invented the pig amp.
Okay.
And that was for them to rehearse with, and they were hoping that, eventually would be part of like on stage, so the whole industry changed, and all the electronics changed.
So
advanced.
when you say now the pig nose had the batteries, that was the same relationship with the company. When you said pig amp,
Well, that's what they called it originally, and that was Jerry Kath and Jack Howdy.
okay,
Yeah, Jack Howdy was the manager of the group at the time, or tour manager, as we called him. But he ended up marrying Chris Gowdy, Chris that worked out in the office.
wow. I was going to, and the last time I was here talking to you, I asked about the relationship because I knew Buddy Miles and John Bonham hung out.
Yes.
So John Bonham, you, and Terry Kath used to run together.
We had a lot of good times together, I would definitely say that. John Bonham with a motorcycle rode through the riot house on Sunset. Yeah, we had some good times.
Oh my God. And if I can have permission to ask you about the time that you climbed out the window at the Hyatt.
I'll answer your question. I didn't climb out the window. I went from the balcony, and one group was on one floor, and another group was on the floor above them.
Okay.
So instead of going out and using the elevator,
Okay.
what I did is try to climb on the front of the building. Now, mind you, I had a joint in my mouth, and as I'm trying to climb the front of the building and go one story to the next, okay, and God knows how many stories up I was. The joint dropped out of my mouth, and onto the awning in front of the high.
Right.
And it started to burn. And lucky for me, as I'm climbing, it started to rain. So that's what hit the fire, and I probably burned the building down. Oh, that was the best story. The best was John, when he had the motorcycle on the side of the building, and I'm like, yeah, go ahead, you can do it. Right through the hallway with the motorcycle. Yeah, John Bonham, yeah, he was a little crazy.
Yeah. Now Hank Steiger, what year did you and Hank meet each other?
Oh, it's got to be in the 60s again. Yeah,
Okay.
it has to be, yeah.
Okay, so we're talking like 68, 69.
Right around there, yeah.
Because Kathy was the box girl back in the 65, right?
No, I think she came 50 years, so 67.
67, okay. Wow. And then, so you were basically around when Pig Amps first sponsored Terry, and he had all
the equipment in the house.
The way I understood it, and again, I'm not a professional on this kind of stuff like this, but
Okay.
they invented it, the pig amp.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Terry and Jack Gowdy got together and invented you call it pig nose, or a pig amp is what they call it to begin with.
Yeah.
They invented it, and actually it was a convenience because they didn't have to take all this other equipment with them.
Okay.
So, the pig amp is only about this big.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a little
it's-
speaker with
Right.
an amp built into it, where this was an amp and you attach the speaker to it.
Yeah, because these have
Yeah.
speaker terminals. But on the back of these, say Knight with a K, Knight / I think Bogan. So this is something that he infused with because Bogan was basically the stereo guy.
Again, I'm not a technical person on all that.
Yeah.
All I know is they went from this to a little machine this big, about that tall.
So two more good questions, and this is in care of Terry's. So around towards the end, when were you concerned about his health?
I never really was concerned about his health. Did he party too much? My dad used to give him lectures.
Okay.
I gave him lectures. He was my good friend.
Yeah.
And when I say lecture, it was like, okay, you're getting carried away.
Yeah.
It's not my place to say exactly what he did, but yeah, he was getting way carried away.
I'm so honored to be able to have this moment with you because I've known your father, who I used to work for, the boss. I met him in 1985 when I first migrated from Pasadena, California to West Hollywood, and I started hanging out with Bill Gazzara, and he let me use his parking lot to hustle. And I would come over here, and your father just reached out to me. And that was back, I was a kid, I was about 18, 19 years old then. And to talk about something such a part of rock and roll history, I wanted to make sure that not only that the aficionados that are crazy about Terry's sound and guitar playing, he's a wonderful musician and band leader then. But these two preamps he used in stereo, left and right. And this is responsible for that whole tone of Chicago from my gate.
This is what they started out with.
Yeah.
This was the beginning.
Yeah, and the picture that has Terry with the polka dot guitar, you have these two just sitting on top of his speaker cabinet.
That's the way it worked back then.
And when I saw these, I mean I had them for like 4 or 5 years. From Hank died in 2005, so I had these for like 4 or 5 years, and I didn't know what they were. And then I got to looking at some old stuff because I had some of Terry's clothes and Hank's clothes, because Kath gave me a bunch of stuff. And I said, wait a minute. I looked at this picture and I said, these are Terry's preamps. It's like almost having something of Jimi Hendrix and stuff.
Yeah, pretty close to the same.
Yeah.
Same time.
And the last question, because Mikeal here is the boss of the Rainbow and also Whiskey has to get back to running the business. Basically, what was the most inspirational time that you and Terry spent together? Just,
Oh, that's a tough one. Inspiration. Okay, my first wedding reception, Terry threw for me.
Oh, wow.
Eloped and got married in Vegas, and he threw the reception. I got married after that, don't worry.
Oh.
But anyway, no, that was like totally cool. Them playing on stage, they were phenomenal musicians, very
I know.
talented out in front. I mean, and I'll be honest, camera or not, the Doors when they started out, Ray admitted himself, they weren't even good musicians. Chicago were good musicians. From the get-go, they had their shit together.
Yes, sir.
Language.
Sure.
They did.
Wow.
And yes, these sat on the stage, they plugged into this, and they carried these amps on it. That was part of the show. Then before the next group went on, they had to carry all that off and let them bring their equipment up.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a different era.
Yeah. What the sound quality. I mean, I know the boss. Your father has some indelible recordings that no one has ever seen. Do you have any of that stuff from the Whiskey?
A lot of it's archived, and now they turned it all over to my son. He handles all that stuff, but we have some of the stuff from back then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know Trevor has most of Terry's guitars.
You know who has a great library is, believe it or not, UCLA's library. And in there they have archives of stuff that I was amazed.
Okay.
In fact, it was Jack Gowdy.
Jack Gowdy, yeah.
His wife Chris went to UCLA to bring up information. This was back years ago for us to use in the whiskey to try to recreate that history.
Sure.
Keep that history alive.
Wow.
Now, as far as what they produced out of these things, they produced a sound that was different than most people. And I think it was the fact that they were such good musicians themselves.
Yeah.
In other words, in those days, when you heard something on the radio, it had a certain clarity. When you heard them live, most groups did not sound that good live. So Chicago had it down. They really did. You had this big band feeling about it.
Yeah,
it was quite amazing.
And they had the horn section, which was the horn section, which is dynamite.
I'm trying to remember all the guys who were in it. Yeah.
Peter Champlin, Bill?
No, Peter's Chera, Bobby Lamb, God, I'm forgetting him. Or Terry, obviously. Walt.
I'm trying
to remember.
I'm trying to remember the original drummer.
Before Bobby, yes, there was somebody else. It was Bobby Lamb.
Wow. I mean, that was basically, I just wanted to make sure that because there was a discrepancy. I am kind of, we are looking for maybe a new home for these, and I'm not going to use them. They are a piece of rock and roll history. I'm very, very grateful and honored to even be able to, when Kathy and Trevor, gave these to me, I was just overwhelmed. And but now times are different, and my whole career stems upon being here at the Rainbow and the Whiskey and the Roxy and Gazares and all at the Central, which is now the Viper Room.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's how long,
Back in that days, it was Filthy Big Nasties.
Oh, okay. And so we're just, we stepped back and we went back to the middle of the late 60s, all the way to, present times. And, I talked to Mikeal and his son, Mikey Jr., and we just thought that, maybe we should, put this together, talk about Terry, go ahead and memorialize Terry's life, and hope that someone, would like to have these as a piece of rock and roll history. I mean,
Also, the history of sound, part of its evolution. The sound has changed.
Yeah.
As I said, it's not the same as it used to be.
Right.
This is the beginning.
This is the beginning. It's all tube. I don't know if they're 12AX7s or 6L6s or KT88s, whatever the tubes are. These Terry had a remarkable sound. I mean, just and he was a phenomenal guitar player.
And a great person.
And a great person.
Really good guy.
And his legacy is followed by he has a daughter.
Yes.
Okay. So his Michelle.
Yeah.
Michelle. So we give a shout out to his legacy and his family. I'd like to probably do anything else you want to say to the world about your dear friend Terry?
Miss him dearly. So sorry that we lost him.
Yeah.
It was one of those freak accidents. He was actually screwing off. They were screwing around.
Yeah.
Literally, accidentally. I think that was 78.
78.
Yeah. They were already well established at that point.
Oh, yeah. And
but miss him terribly.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Great guy.
We lost a lot of friends here too. Many. Thank you, Spanky Crash and Chubbs.
We are family. That's my cousin was with me. Yeah.
So these guys made it all happen in America, and international friends and family abroad. We love you. You take care of yourselves. Anything that happens eminently for a good reason. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Peace out.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So
That was easy.
yeah.
I'm through with the aggravation. Don't deserve this degradation. Don't know that